All right, guys, we're back for another exciting episode of Creative Genius. We got another playmate that we're talking with today. He's doing something very very major with education and also the metaverse. He's going to talk about his project, what he has going on. When Amlin introduced me, to his work, I almost split my wig with excitement because that's definitely the alley that I see myself going. I have never. Now we communicated back and forth through LinkedIn, but I haven't told him that this guy is a major inspiration to me, where I would like to see my project go on the educational tip. So also I don't say this enough. If you like what we're doing, like and share, and also subscribe to the page of Creative Genius. Um, and I got Amlin tagging along with me. So let me go and introduce our guest. I don't know if he goes by Chris, Mr. Kelly, or CK.
CK
But
is
CK,
good.
how you doing?
I'm good, Aaron. How are you doing? It's nice to be here.
Good, good. And the guy wears so many hats. I'm sure he'll talk about it, but he's doing his project is called Onyx Global, with also incorporates Onyx University. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Good.
The parent company for Onyx University is called Onyx Education.
All right. Good, good. And you
Yeah.
got Miss Amlin back with us. How you
I'm
doing?
here. I'm here. I'm happy. Yeah, doing really good. Really, really good.
Good,
I'm
good, good.
excited. The more players that we get, the more it's like I live in playground world, right? I don't believe in
Nothing wrong with
work.
that.
I believe in play. So having you guys all come together is like, yay, let's play.
Yeah, but I think also, Amlin, I think you're the nucleus right now, moving forward. Like you're connecting so many pieces, and bringing so many creators and innovators together. Um, like we said on the last video, we kind of don't know what we're doing, but we're building it as we fly, and that's kind of the fun part. That's the intriguing part about it all. And one thing, so my wife bought me a new laptop, so I first was using hers, and she bought me my own. So the backdrop that you see in the first video was backwards. Um,
Oh.
it was flipped. So, and I was like, what in the world? Um, so it's kind of different setup on my laptop, and I didn't know that. So right now I'm looking at it, and it's flipped. So hopefully when I put it out, it'll be um, back in its regular form. So I just want to let y'all know that I'm building as I fly too. So I'm not perfect. But anyway, cool, cool, cool. CK, talk about yourself a little bit.
Yeah, my name is CK, like Aaron was saying. Full name is Chris Kelly, and I recently started a company, well, two companies, Onyx Global and Onyx Education.
Mhm.
And I've previously spent time teaching university students, freshman university students over in China.
Oh,
I
wow.
was teaching them how to be effective learners in an American style learning environment, because the students did 2 years in China and then 2 years in the States and got degrees from both countries. So that was a
Oh, wait a
very
minute.
fascinating
Wait a minute.
experience.
Time out. Time out. So they got what you say, dual degrees, if you will.
Yes.
So in
Yes.
4 years, they will have a degree in China and a degree in the United States.
Yes. It's a 2+2 program.
Okay, so tell me how that worked. Like you don't have to go in full detail, but how did that work?
Yeah, the students would take the standard Gaokao, which is the Chinese version of the SAT or ACT,
Right.
and the students have they're basically competing for the like Harvards and Yales
Uh,
of the states, or excuse me,
uh,
of China.
right.
And the students in our program were students who may have gotten accepted into those universities, but not in the major that they wanted. Oh, important detail: you apply based on what major you want. So if you get accepted to a university for a major, you can only go to that university if you take that major.
Mm.
And our program would have the students spend 2 years at the China Agricultural University in Beijing, and they would study like entry level courses, and they're like China required courses over in China. And then they would do the 2 years in the States at the University of Colorado, Denver, or Oklahoma State.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, so it was like a partnership. And then Colorado and Oklahoma would send over some students, and there'd
Oh,
be professor exchanges and stuff. So it was a really cool experience.
how'd you get to China?
Uh, I finished my bachelor's, and it's kind of a like little bit of an interesting story. I had spent time in my in my last semester studying in Dubai, and I knew I wanted to teach overseas. So I first applied to Saudi Arabia,
Oh, wow.
and I got a job, but I kind of was like, I don't know if I'm ready to go all out into Saudi Arabia yet. And so I basically I changed my mind and was reached out to by a recruiter on like I think it was through LinkedIn, and they connected me with a rural Chinese university, and I took the job and showed up with no Chinese ability, like very
Mm,
little plan. Like, oh, I
mm.
lost my phone on the hotel shuttle as soon as I landed in Beijing.
That's not good.
Yeah, so I spent 1 year there, and then finished my master's online while I was there, and that qualified me to go teach in the major cities. So I was able to move to Beijing.
How was China? What was
It
that
was
experience like?
great. Yeah,
Really?
it was a truly eye-opening experience, and I got the opportunity to travel around Asia a bit.
Mm.
And it was kind of like throwing my feet directly into the fire, because I was my own support system. And like,
Right.
even there's like no Facebook, there's no Google. Like, it's a whole
Really?
different situation. Yep, everything is blocked over there.
Really?
Yep. The only folks that the only thing you can use is Bing, and Apple products work well, but anything by Google doesn't work at all. Anything by Facebook doesn't work at all.
Wow.
Why? It's just, yeah. Why?
To keep the curtain up, basically. They have what's called the Great Firewall. And if you think about the Great Wall of China, it's that, except it blocks outside communication, outside websites. There's no BBC, no CNN, or actually I think CNN is okay, but there's no BBC, there's no Reuters.
Okay,
So
let's play devil's advocate just a little bit. So say like you're really experienced in tech and you do have those um, websites and channels available on your device. What happens if you call it?
if you are a non-Chinese citizen, there's nothing that happens to you. They honestly don't really care, as long as you are not like out there spreading information they don't want
Uh,
going around. If you are a Chinese citizen, it's kind of a gray area. They don't seem to go after anyone who uses VPNs, but you need a VPN to go see Google or anything that you want to outside of the firewall. But
right.
they don't seem to go after anyone who uses them, but people who produce them or sell them or build them from
Uh,
other people, they
right.
go after them rather hard. And some foreigners have been, or non-Chinese folks have been caught up with that as well.
Not fun. I bet you it's not fun to be locked up in China. I bet you it's not fun at
Yeah,
all.
that yeah, thankfully I never found out, but I
Yeah,
don't imagine it'd be a nice time.
right. So where'd you go to college?
Prescott College.
Prescott. That's
Yes.
in
In Arizona, in Prescott, Arizona.
really.
Front door. No
Yep.
way.
Yep.
You were
Over
here
near
in
Evelyn.
Prescott? Up
Yep.
by NAU? Wow.
Yep, I did my first, I should say my first 2 years, my first 3 years. There was a false start on the bachelor's degree pursuit.
False start.
uh, but I started at the University of Connecticut and then took a year off to find myself and all that good stuff.
Find
And
myself.
then, yep, then Prescott, what attracted me to them was that, and I view it as kind of a case study for how learning needs to go in the future, is that they allowed me to develop my own major program as long as I had faculty sign off and I had to get signatures from advisors and stuff. So there's plenty of red tape, but they let me do it. So
You said develop your own major.
yes.
What does that look like?
So the major is in teaching English as a foreign language. So I really wanted to precisely focus it on what I ended up doing. My first year in China, I taught English. And so I basically had to ensure that I was meeting the requirements of a existing major, like foundational things, like
Right.
I basically tailed along with the education majors.
Right.
And then in my last year, or what I would imagine to be the last 2 years, if I didn't already come in with 2 years of credits, I was working on independent studies and did a study abroad. And so I was writing a bunch of research reports and stuff like that, and
Okay.
meeting with a professor 1 or 2 times a week.
Okay. How'd you get in? How'd you get into education? What inspired you to be educated?
Mix between lifelong interests. I've always been interested in the great libraries of the world and Plato and the academies and all of that stuff. And then honestly, I wanted a way to be able to travel the world and make like solid income without having to exploit anybody. So I started off studying law and business and stuff, and I saw if I got to a certain point I wanted to go, it was gonna be very competitive, if not, downright all the dirty stuff that can go on in any situation. I saw education overseas. I should be specific. I was really targeting going overseas. I saw that as like kind of a Wild West, and being able to serve as my own freelancer basically, and like be a educator for hire. So
Oh yeah, yeah.
that really appealed to me.
That's a very nice, to me. That's a very nice concept if you think about it. I mean, especially overseas, because the internet has made it possible where you can be in Connecticut and still service as a teacher in Dubai, China, but you were actually feet on the ground in China, which is something totally different. But a teacher for hire now that's not a foreign concept like it used to be. Yeah.
Yeah, with the education reform, there's a lot of teachers, right? Educators, and there is a character aspect to that, right? Those that are led to help others into new information and skills. They're finding the constriction of a lot of the institutions, and also finding pathways of freedom in a lot of this tech to be able to take their skills, their passion, their character that is an educator through and through, and remove all of those, I don't know how to say it, walls, right? Those firewalls from what how you can help another individual. The metaverse or 3.0 really gives us a lot of space to find communities that we can help and individuals without the red tape.
Right.
Definitely.
So CK, when did you discover like that learning could be done in a different way in a 3.0 format? And of course, I guess you have to explain 3.0 first, and then kind of dive in, how you kind of discovered that structure of 3.0.
Yeah, when I look at the 3.0 and like, Web 3.0 and all of these things. I kind of focus on education's evolution
Right.
within it. And
Right.
in that we have one very large stage, which is Education 1.0, which I view as everything from the schoolhouse classroom to the sage on the stage approach.
Which is old.
Yeah, so served us for a couple thousand years, but it's gotta go.
Gotta go.
And then I view Education 2.0 as online learning, but more so distance learning. So I like to start it off as the old universities that were doing mail-in learning and correspondence courses and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, so starting at those days is where I kind of view 2.0 coming about, and then really taking off in the online world, except for in that transition, somehow the K-12 and university world stayed in 1.0, while professional training and life coaching and stuff
Right.
dove directly into 2.0 to
Right.
mixed results. So thinking of, your compliance training and
Right.
like basic onboarding for a job.
Right.
And then 3.0 being taking the best learning from the classroom teaching and techniques that teachers have developed inside of the classroom and placing them in the tech tools of Education 2.0. And there's going to be some friction, some overlap, some new things that need to be created, some things that need to be tossed out. But figuring out all of that is where I see Education 3.0. And seems appears we lost Emily.
It's all good.
Yeah. But so I see the combining the non-timed and more accessible and more variety aspects of Education 2.0. I see that as the core feature of Education 3.0. So what we're doing now, but we can't lose all of the things that we've learned from the classroom throughout all of these years. Like we don't need a sage on the stage, but apprenticeship is still a very important aspect of methodology. Just because we went online you can do an apprenticeship.
Right.
And building a system to do so.
Yeah, cool. So when did you discover 3.0 kind of fit your needs as a education provider, if you will?
Honestly, pretty much at the very beginning of the pandemic. So I was in China when the pandemic hit, and I needed to teach my students who were still in China a public speaking course through Zoom. And all of the students were in one room. So it was 70 students public speaking for 2 hours twice a week. And that format just didn't work. Like there was no way to give everybody, if I gave everybody 5 minutes to speak by 7 people, we're there for 5 hours, or 70 people. So I took the best of what I had learned in doing my master's and doctoral courses online and through Moodle, and built a learning management system that I was using. Other teachers that had also left but were still teaching at the institution started teaching. And then I got a little nerdy and decided to explore all the technology that was available. So I kind of skipped over the 2.0 teaching in about a 2-month period because I was so excited about finding out all this technology. This was also my first time regularly having access to Google and stuff for a prolonged period of time. So a whole new world opened up, and I was ready for it.
Gotcha. Okay. When did you? Is that the same time or a little after you discovered that you wanted to kind of create your own company to, provide a educational model shaped after
Yes.
your own thoughts and ideas. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Talk to us about that.
Yeah. The company is the result really of that experience that I had teaching the students during the pandemic, because I wanted the students to be able to succeed learning online. And from previous research, I knew that online courses have like 15% completion rates and all that stuff. And I knew that my students were in the thick of it. So I knew they were having a rough time because they were at, home base for the pandemic, unfortunately. And so I made a companion extra credit course for them that taught them everything that I knew about self-directed learning and how to learn online. And after the course was done, I noticed that the students were not just like all the students who entered the extra credit opportunity completed it, which usually isn't the case for optional learning activities. You have
Yeah.
100%
Yeah.
completion rate. And then students afterwards told me that the course had taught them how to learn, why they wanted to learn for themselves. There were students who said that the course, the extra credit was more valuable to them than the formal course was. And that became Onyx Global. Like a learner academy that creates, it's Onyx Learner Academy that's like building upon what I had taught to my students and taking the technology that I've developed since then to make it even better. And then Onyx Education is a company to research making the technology and
Oh.
making the standards and all of that. So it's like a delivery and a development wing of two separate things, but one led to the other.
So you kind of created a case study on accident.
Yes. Yes, that's a perfect way to put it.
You created a case study on accident, which is cool. I mean, it gave you all the information that you needed, and you're able to create your own company by it.
Yeah.
So the Learner Academy, talk to us about that. 'Cause I know that's something that you're in the thick of right now. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, I've recently opened up pre-enrollments for the academy. It'll be opening up the full courseware and programs early next year, early 2022.
Right.
But the purpose of it is to teach learners how to be efficient and effective learners for the rest of their lives. And I'm specifically focused on helping folks learn online and maximize their use of digital tools. And the subject matter that I teach inside of it is I distill down the theoretical knowledge behind learning and teaching. So the things that are
Hey,
the principles and the principles that underlie professional training and things like that. I've taken the learning that we've accumulated in those spheres and applied it to just general information consumption. So how you are able to basically create a training program for yourself if you just structure free resources. If you put the right YouTube playlist together, you can make a course for yourself. Things like that. And knowing where to get something I should note is that my time, I do also have to thank being behind the Great Firewall for kind of my flexibility with finding resources and stuff, because I had to become really good at distinguishing between credible and non-credible resources and finding good places for open education, OER resources, and things like that. And so Onyx Learner Academy combines all of that stuff and adds in on top of it the concepts that I think are especially relevant to succeeding in modern learning. So design thinking, systems thinking, mindfulness, self-awareness, all of these things I think are just as important as learning. Like I want to teach Cornell note taking right next to personal wellness and put them in the same. I don't think they need to be separate, because a learner needs to do both of them.
Right, right. Now, so what I think is mm, oh, good and bad at the same time. It's good that I learned what kind of learner I was, but what was awful, it didn't come until my freshman year of college.
Yes.
So you go through 12 years of school when you don't even understand what kind of learner you are. Like you gotta wait till your freshman year. And so if you don't go to college, you never understand what kind of learner you are. Like that's yeah, that's something that I definitely want to handle you in two places.
Double handling.
Okay.
Technology is a blessing and a curse. Let me turn this off. Sorry, I don't mean to.
So the most intriguing part about your model to me, what you're doing with Onyx, is the virtual campus. And you haven't touched on that at all, which I think is it is the most neat thing I've ever seen in my life in education. Verbula, is that how you pronounce it?
Verbella.
Verbella.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to us about Verbella, how you discovered them, and how you came to the decision that you wanted to create your own. Is it a 3D campus?
Yeah. Could I share my screen for a moment?
Sure. Yeah. Go ahead.
And oh, sorry, it needs the permission to do so. But while you are doing that, though, piggybacking on what you did say or just said, one of my favorite quote or favorite sayings for promoting Onyx is saying, is saying that like when you start a job, you are trained for it, you're prepared for it, and companies invest money into preparing you to do so. We don't get that going into school. We get tossed in, and if you didn't, like you were saying, if you didn't get it before college, then and you don't go to college, you might never get it. And also, we ask people to compete on a level playing field when it's just not actually that. So aiming to help with doing that. Okay, yeah, I am able to share my screen as well.
Okay. So with the 3D campus, I don't know if you'll dig into exactly the capability and the functionality of a 3D campus, but pretty much it totally eliminates the need for a brick and mortar and physical campus. Everything that you would have and need on a physical brick and mortar campus, meeting areas, conference rooms, classrooms, what else, Amlin, for CK? Yeah, anything that you would need in it. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, do you mind if I share?
Sure, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I didn't realize we could at the same time. Okay, are you able to see my screen now?
No.
Okay.
Oh, you have to go to view options and then shared screens, and I can click on CK's, and then I'm now in CK's room. So at the top it says view options. And then
that me?
CK. Well, that's what worked on me for Zoom. Is it brought up you are seeing Aaron's screen, and then next to it says view options, and when you click under that, I can choose CK's screen. This is really rando for it to be snowing in this world when I'm in Arizona.
Well, we had our first snow a couple days ago. Thankfully, it was a very small one, but yeah, this is Verbella's Christmas theme. And there's you can see the big old Christmas tree.
So your screen is up already?
Yeah, I'm seeing it.
Yes.
I'm not.
Can you stop your screen share?
Yeah. Oh, here we go. All right.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so yeah, as Aaron was saying, this is an overview of the campus. And so if you're a school or an organization and you're looking to replicate the feel of an online campus or an online world, this is already there. And inside of each of these different buildings that are visible around. What were you saying?
You got a basketball court.
Yep, we got 3 basketball courts. Can also be a soccer field. I'll do a little plug for Verbella. If you prefer soccer, they have soccer too. And there's also strong highlight is these speedboats that you can see at the top of the screen. You can honestly feels just like a video game, and you get to get in and drive them around and all of that stuff. But when you're in the campus, you really feel a sense of presence and kind of reality to it. It is virtual reality, and the things are animated and everything, but you can walk around, you can look at, I turned off that. You can look at your avatar and see that. So this is, you can see he has a bit more hair than me, but we don't need to, get into all that. But your character has all types of emotions, so you can share and like wave at people. You can show that that you're thinking about something, and communicate non-verbally as well as verbally. And inside of the different buildings that you were able to see are office buildings and spaces to come together and collaborate in a environment that really feels like a proper office space. So right now we're in what I'm calling the digital twin of Onyx Learner Academy.
Right.
And so this space will be open to students who have signed up for the course. And there are additional activities there'll be that go along with the e-course, and also inside of your character can also run, so you don't have to move slowly around places. But inside of this boardroom and other boardrooms like it, we'll be running workshops, and also perfect for large business meetings. You can have a boardroom and stuff.
That is neat. That is neat. So I'm bugging out because somebody might listen, people may look at this and say, oh, this is very, very elementary, or this is very it's not very modern. Well, we're just starting out, right? But if you're thinking forward, you understand that this is the very beginning. So if you think maybe 5 or 10 years from now, the technology that we're looking at in terms of 3D probably won't be 3D anymore. This is just the beginning. And that's why I'm excited, because this is just the freaking beginning. The capabilities that we will be able to bring students on a global platform will be utterly ridiculous. So this is just beginning. This 3D campus It may not look like a lot of fun right now, but we're just getting started. In the next, few years, as technology evolves, man, it's it's going to be really amazing. Amlin, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that when I experience Verbella's the 3D, the first thing that I think of is my students don't have headsets, right? Because I talk to my students about virtual reality all the time because I'm in that. They don't have access yet. It's just not, we're not in that technology. And then even then you have a huge clunky headset that you're within and you still feel isolated a little bit. It's not necessarily where you want to be to learn, sure, to play video games and that kind of stuff. But I don't see the seamlessness with virtual reality yet.
Right.
So this meets absolutely the accessibility needs. And I'd like to hear your thoughts on this, CK. Is my work is the space for teens and young adults like we used to be under the bleachers or at the bonfire, or you know what I mean? Not in the school system. We want to break the whole system of narration about education and make it where play, they learn out the classroom without that, you know what I mean, in outer space. But I do understand, and I have learned that we're not there yet. And so what's happening is we're duplicating a lot of the, like he said, this is a mirror. It's a, what did you call it? A clone or
a digital twin?
Digital twin, yes. And they're doing that in virtual reality too, right? So Victory XR, that's what they're doing is virtual twins. They're taking education as it stands today and moving it into this new technology. But the paradigm isn't changing yet in just the buildings, but it is, and like what CK is talking about is even though he's using what is known to bridge into a new possibility, he's changing the philosophy behind how we use these spaces.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes. So we're going to see a kind of a bridge. I had to be explained to this very early on because I'm the type of person that wants to create something new without the past. So boom, if I created the university, we'd be in outer space somewhere or on Fantasia land, but not all humans work that way. Some of us need to be exposed to change incrementally.
Yes.
So I think that's one of the great benefits of Verbella in this. This is very inviting, very user accessible, and you're using the same knowledge and processes that we're used to. Then we get in and you can change it. So I do agree with this pathway.
And just to kind of piggyback up what you're saying, like you can't take your classroom out of space without going through Verbella, a model like Verbella first. You said in increments. And if we just imagine if we tried to take students from A to Z right now.
They can't get there. That's the whole point is they cannot even get there. It's not accessible to all of them yet. This, if you have a computer, this is available. Is this mobile? Can you do it on your mobile phone yet?
This is not, but the Verbella's partner like new initiative called Frame is. And I think that the fact that Verbella is doing both really speaks to their knowledge and familiarity with what you're talking about regarding comfort level, but also something that is very important is to for us to remember that the innovation in technology is going to outpace our innovation in using like them and having best practices, recognition of emotional impacts and things like that. And if we are going to make the best use of these spaces, it's useful to have sort of little stop gaps where, like, okay, you've never learned in or worked in a virtual reality environment. Maybe you don't need aliens, rocket ships, and like like samurais everywhere. But 3 months from now, maybe you've dived in and you're excited, and now you're ready to explore more more innovative or more non-conventional formats.
Right.
And the space that we're currently in is kind of our space to try to bridge that gap, where what we're looking at is essentially an expo hall or a convention center that could host any sort of large function. But the reason it's able to host a large function while a lot of platforms are still only able to do like 15 or 10 or so is that Virbela paid a whole lot of attention to functionality and security. So while, you know, it looks a bit cartoony relative to like a PlayStation 4 game or things like that. But on each of these screens that are here, like this one that the Onyx just popped up, this is a fully functioning web board. So if you're working in Miro, or you want to show your Google Slides, or you want to go to a website, it's a fully functioning, anything that can appear on Chrome, including web apps. So other worlds can appear on these screens. And Frame is one of them. Virbela's companion product can show up at inside of the screens. So what we're trying to do is to offer these sorts of spaces to people who want to create in the, like, they want to make their dragons and make, like, let's study at the bottom of the ocean and like go to a sunken wreckage to learn the story of how it got there. That experience can be provided to people in a more marketplace type of feel here. So it doesn't, you don't have to download the headset and fully dive in. You can take your bits and pieces, and maybe you hop into Virbela and Onyx University and then go off and build your own university at another platform. And it all power to you. That's what we're all about. But yeah, space like that is what, or space like this is what we're aiming to give people a space for.
And CK, this is why I want to play with you, is because so if you consider, like, we're coming at this with the same vision of where we're going, but how we get there is kind of different, right? So I'm all about rogue, let the teens and young adults just go crazy. You know, I'm like, give them their own space. They get to rule within it and figure it out, but they don't know how to make a universe. They don't know how to make an avatar yet. They don't know how to do commerce within that place. So what they would do is they would build their metaverse. We're giving them the space, the support, the resources, but they got to learn how to do it. And this is the program that would do it. CK's Onyx University will teach them how to build, and then they get their place, which is Zion. No adult will ever get to see what's happening in Zion. That is only for their own eyes. So we need to be able to first tell them, here's how you do it, and then they go in there and then cause a muck. It's a simulation. You can die, you know. So we want them to have their own playground. But if we are not responsible to teach them how to use it, including the DAO, right? Because the DAO is basically how they're going to run their treasury that runs their economy that they create. We need to educate them on that. That's not going to be done, like you said, in the metaverse. It may need to be done here so they can build their metaverse.
And as a last little bit, I'll stop sharing my screen after this, but I really like that Virbela, and I've seen some other platforms do this as well, is specifically build places for community and connection that don't, like, there's no web boards out here. There's nothing for you to be quote unquote productive with. This is a space for you to come. There's like fire pits. You can sit down with another friend, another avatar, and chat, and turn the volume down so it won't be loud, but there's ocean sounds and all that stuff. And honestly, sometimes I take the boats out and just like ride around. It's kind of a stress reliever.
And you can turn the mic on and talk to, invite somebody within the blue circle, sit down, open your mic up, and really have a conversation with them.
Yes. Important to note is it's got microphone communication as well as text, and also sticky notes. You can leave like large sticky notes around the world for people to access and click on.
I love the chat feature too, because I teach via Zoom completely online, right? And my students, we don't do cameras because they're teenagers and young adults. And I'm like, we woke up like this, right? We don't always want our eyeballs and we're learning. So using the chat feature really allowed those people, those individuals who didn't want to voice their thoughts, but they wanted to contribute, and they were able to type out really meaningful contributions and have it. So even though it's live, having a chat seems a little bit like, why, if you can speak, why would you chat? It just gives the people that need to process what they're thinking before they share it a beautiful way to do so and be heard. Yeah.
Excellent point. I don't
agree.
Yeah, this is bomb. I can't wait to get people in here. I'm just like, y'all come play. 100 people in a space like this, sharing a vision, we could do infinite things. That's the thing. It's like, it's the people that matter. Like when I think of Web 3.0, I always tell my students, in this new possibility, you're the main character. Like you are the center of this storyline. Okay. But the other thing that's happening is that we're all allowed to play together.
Right.
So, there's too many things in place that doesn't allow me to play with my students. I have a curriculum I need to deliver. We got grades we want to do. Can I even hug them? Is there's like this flesh suit we have to deal with and all this kind of stuff. So there's just ways that I cannot connect fully with their consciousness, which is what my goal is, right? Like I'm not taking care of their bodies and feeding them and keeping their physicalness safe, which is why the metaverse is about thriving, and the physical world, we're still surviving. When we get into this place, there is not a you must, it's a you can. It's a possibility. And if you don't play it, you still have this physical world to thrive in. But that one is just an option. It's a choice. And not very many things when it comes to education in our physical world are a choice.
Right. I agree.
Yes.
I really agree.
Agreed.
Cool. Now, it's probably our last point, but I think this is a very critical one. It's really important in terms of accreditation in the metaverse world. What are your thoughts and what are your opinions about that? Because this world is new. Do you think the physical world and the metaverse will unite to create accreditation? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I truly think that they will, first to begin with, but something that I'm seeing as rather interesting is that the folks, myself included, but not just me, the folks who are making metaverse-oriented learning have kind of done what I did with the technology, which is just dive absolutely in and try to get the best, most forefront methodologies and standards. So I have been seeing like almost like pretty universally, the metaverse companies are diving directly into project-based learning, competency-based learning, nothing that like I with one exception, which won't be named at the moment, I'm not seeing folks go to the sage on the stage model. Like it's a very appealing idea to have like a VR professor who is like waving and like doing everything, which could be cool to look at on like a YouTube video. But if you're also in virtual reality and you've got the headset on and you've got the things in your hands, you don't want to just sit there and watch somebody else have fun in virtual reality. Right. So I'm seeing a lot of push towards competency-based standards and things like that. So speaking to Onyx specifically, we're going to be aiming to keep Onyx University from adopting the Carnegie Credit Hour. This is a personal policy for myself, but it's research backed and all that stuff. But we're not going to be aligning our stuff to the Carnegie Credit Hour. We're first aligning to the IACT's standards, the people who accredit professional training that gives CEUs. And then we're going to
CEUs.
Continuing education units. So
Okay.
if you take like a workplace safety course and you get 4 of your training hours for the year, these are the people that accredited the people who gave you those 4
Gotcha.
Credit hours, and they're moving like head first and very strong into competency-based, non-time-based standards. But their movement was an outgrowth of the Carnegie Credit Hour, like a professional equivalent of it. And we're kind of turning that on its head and taking the professional equivalent of like trying to apply standards to things that may not be timed. Like if you're training somebody in how to make widgets, you don't want to time them. Like,
right.
It doesn't matter if you hit the time limit, like keep learning.
Right.
So we're doing the same thing, but we're going to then apply the standards of delivery and assessment and organization from the higher ed into the competency base. So rather than trying to make the timed education feel more non-timed, we're taking the non-timed skills-based, more apprenticeship sort of education and going to align with the existing standards until the standards catch up. And outside the metaverse, it's going to be a long haul, but I think the metaverse companies have a real leg up in this because they're not shackled by needing to meet all that.
And that's what I like. That's what I like. So all of the red tape, all the all of the all the bureaucracy and all of that, man, is out the window.
Yep.
It's out of the window.
Controls.
When it comes to this. Well, I definitely need to get with you and Amlin offline because I got something that I'm working on. I really need guidance on. I really need guidance on. So it seems like you guys are in the know. So we'll talk offline.
We're all figuring it out as we go. Remember that.
Right. But
I love that we're doing it in different ways. That's what's fascinating to me. Again, I come from the place of play, and it just shows when somebody's inspired and there's some inside desire to do it, man, they find their own path. And it's way better than just us all replicating the same thing.
What a neat time to be alive. A neat time to create, though. This is a neat time to create. It really is. Not a lot of people get it. Not a lot of people really understand what's going on. But I mean, that's what forward thinkers do. Like they see what's going to be before it happens.
We embrace the chaos and the unknown.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Right. We're able to see, all of the incompleteness, and we complete it in our mind, and that's what fuels us. That's what energizes us to move forward. And then everybody else, they have the privilege of playing with what we created, which is all good. It's all good.
We put our hand back too, and we help them because we got a bridge going on right now, right? From where we were to where we're going. Right. We're like in this great big bridge right now. And some people, I was in India and I used to see people get on the escalators, right? And that wasn't something that they all in their culture from kids had interacted with. And they were so apprehensive just to get on this thing. Well, I envision my teens and young adults doing that with the metaverse. They're a little
Yeah.
bit more like, ooh, this looks fun. I want to play. You know,
Yeah.
they'll be willing to get hurt a little bit maybe in the beginning because they don't know what they're doing as much. But when it comes to adults, that's where the compassion comes, is knowing when something's new for some people, it takes them a lot of courage to take those steps. So we're reaching back and saying, hey, let's help you guys. Let's help you get over this bridge. That's what all of us are doing.
Yeah. And it's the unknown too. I mean, a lot of people freak out about what they don't know, what they don't understand. It's not until you can help them see the benefit that they jump on board. So all is not lost in terms of adults. You can teach an old dog new tricks sometimes.
Yeah.
Not very often, but you can. But for those who can see, after this build and want to join along, I mean, they will be able to, benefit, off of what's been built too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, I hope that you both decide someday that you want to get a headset just to play in the virtual reality place, and let's go play, because I love being in VR.
But they're too bulky for me. Like,
they are, but I don't know. They are really bulky. They're not going to be that way forever, let me tell you.
I know. I was telling my neighbor that I said, man, that the VR headsets, they're going to be out of the picture probably in the next year or two, because I've always seen models of glasses, and I've even seen contacts.
Wow.
Yeah, contacts. Can you imagine? But that's augmented reality a lot too. The contacts are going augmented, where the digital is around. So they data is in everything, right? Even like I always think about clothing. Well, now when you look at clothing, it can tell you the supply chain flow while you're looking at the clothing, right? The data is now visible to us, rather than going home and having to Google it and check it out. It will be presented whatever is convenient for us to know. Like your GPS is not on your phone anymore. We're beyond screens. The contacts allow the flow.
That's awesome.
Freaking neat. That's neat.
So cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, this was a very nice conversation. CK, thank you for your time, my man.
Thank you so much for having me on. This has been a pleasure.
No doubt, no doubt. We're going to continue building. I love what you're doing. You're definitely inspiring somebody like myself, who is an educator, who want to do things differently. I don't see a lot of people like you who are leading the charge in education, who are choosing to do something different and being bold about it. So Amelin, thank you for the introduction.
Thank you so much for getting us together.
And let's keep building. Let's keep having fun. I feel like
igniting fires.
Yeah,
what we're doing.
Cool.
Yes.
All right, guys. This concludes another episode of Creative Genius inside the metaverse world. Stay tuned, because next week we'll have something even more interesting as it concerns metaverse technology in education as well too. All right, guys. Have a good rest of your day.
Bye, everybody.
All right.